Hey everyone, it is nostalgia time once again. We are back with the HP ProBook 4530S, which we had not seen in a very long time. So, considering that HP's products, just like with that HP laptop I have from 2008, which we have never documented, as with all laptops around this time, when they don't get touched in a long time, the battery gets so degraded that now it can't even run on battery power. And this is actually kind of good for me because I have been running a IP radio station for quite a while now, and with the Dell Vostro, as I have experienced in the past, I would have to keep unplugging and plugging it back in every so often, and that's a pain. I wouldn't really want to do that, and then the stream goes out, and then I have to reboot it just to get it back up and running. So I would like to address these problems. So I would like to address these issues by giving this HP once again some actual purpose. Now, before we actually do that, I'm going to be first replacing the hard drive inside of this with one of these HP solid state drives. It should fit in here, because I did put a solid state drive in here before. So first thing we do is remove the battery. And then we carefully slide away the cover. Wow, HP really made this process very easy. Absolutely impressive. And then in here, we have the factory hard drive. First, we need to remove all the screws. So that's one screw. That's two screws. And then we need to remove the main bracket. And now out comes the last screw. All right, and now we pull the hard drive out of the machine. There's a specific way we got to do it. There we go. And now the drive is out. This is actually the original hard drive from the factory. This is just a Toshiba mechanical hard drive, so you can see right there, that's what it looks like. This is a 500 gigabyte hard drive. Now, what we're going to be putting into this computer is going to be almost like that, but I'll explain. So then we use this hook to, oh wait. So now we have to remove the hard drive screws, the screws that hold the hard drive in place. And then the fourth and final screw. And now we can safely lift out the hard drive. And there we go, coming out of its cocoon. Now we'll install the solid state drive into the caddy here. We gotta make sure it correctly lines up with everything. Okay, now we reinstall the hard drive screws. All right, so now we install the SSD by making sure it lines up with the pins. All right, and now it is in. So now next we reinstall the hard drive screws. All right, now with the new hard drive installed, go ahead and put on the cover and the battery. Make sure the battery is nice and secure. So now all that's left to do is see if it turns on. So all that's left to do is turn this guy on, and let's make sure the new hard drive shows up. It actually does show up because it is booting into an operating system. I just remembered I installed Windows 10 on it, but it probably hasn't received any updates in a while. But regardless, I'm going to be getting rid of this installation. Since Windows 10 is only a few months away from end of support, and considering that there are still over millions of PCs that can't even officially run Windows 11 even though it can, I decided I'm going to go ahead and put Linux onto it. That's because when I installed Windows 10 and Windows 11, both being Pro Editions, on the HP that we're doing, it would not take the Windows 7 code. That's because Microsoft finally acknowledged that people could still upgrade to Windows 10 from 7 or 8 for free years after the 2016 offer had expired. So now that I can't really put 10 or 11 on there anymore, it's time to see what Linux is like. And I gotta say, I have never used Linux Mint before, and this is gonna be my first time seeing what Linux is like. And I mean, considering the thing that I'm using or planning to use it for is literally based on Linux, so it should work right out of the gate without any subsystem or anything like that. So what I'm doing now is I'm going ahead and burning Linux Mint Cinnamon onto a USB, and I will use that USB to install the operating system onto the HP. And I believe if it all goes well, everything should work right out of the gate, drivers and everything. If I remember correctly, even after installing all of these drivers, it doesn't look like a lot of them are compatible with Windows 10, including wireless, because we go to network devices here and see the Qualcomm adapter. I did install the drivers for them. However, the Wi-Fi capabilities still do not work. So unfortunately, I can't really connect this to the internet in this kind of case, because that is actually what's needed for my stream to work. So that's why I'm going to be getting rid of this Windows 10 installation, and I'm going to be putting Linux onto it instead. So what I've done is I've copied over one of my songs from my radio station soundtrack. We can see all those apps are trying to update, but that isn't going to be happening as the Wi-Fi driver just still doesn't work. So in that case, we might as well get rid of this because Linux is ready. And look at how outdated this build is. My goodness, this is from July of 2024. I believe that's the security update. And now we will prep this thing to become our first Linux machine. Access is denied. Let's crank it up. Oh, the music stopped. Either the file moved or another app is using it. Try playing it from its current location or quit the other app. And there goes the background. And there goes the background. I could still open the settings app. Oh my god. You need to activate Windows before you could personalize your PC. But sadly I can't do any personalization because the hard drive's getting deleted. Can I open another instance of the command prompt? No, I don't think so. We're gonna hit escape. Don't tell me it just deleted the command line. Uh-oh. Oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. You can see everything getting deleted there. We'll just let this run all the way through. Let's just see if anything still works. No battery present. Of course there isn't a battery, because these batteries can't even last like about a year or two after. Oh, enter command number. What is this? Okay, I don't know what that is. I don't know how that triggered, but okay. Yeah, sure, let's run it a second time. Let's run it a second time. It's like a total hard drive liquidation, just like that. But no. Oh my god. How do the Windows 10 sounds still work? How, after all this time, do the Windows 10 sounds still work? Alright. Alright, we might as well just end it there. Not bootable anymore. Critical service failed. And we want to boot, so we're going to do F9 for boot options. And it has detected my flash drive, so we're going to go ahead and boot off of that. And it says, welcome to Linux Mint. There is actually an OEM install option. Interesting. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start it up. That's a neat looking cursor. And also the trackpad actually does work, so that's great. So here's what it looks like. This is Linux Mint here, but we want to actually install it onto the hard drive. So this is like a USB boot disk, so we can actually test out Linux Mint here, get an idea as to what it's going to look like after we install it onto the hard disk. And we can see, yeah, this is entirely free and open source. And here's the file explorer. But I can see the 511 gigabyte volume. And we can see there's our folder of Windows 10, which is absolutely annihilated now. And it also comes with the Firefox web browser preloaded, which now I believe they are focusing more on privacy. What do we have here? No connection. And it doesn't look like wireless drivers do work. But this is trying to load their privacy page, which I don't think works. So maybe something will happen when we install the drivers, so we'll see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and install Mint. It's actually kind of fitting that I'm doing this because that's probably what millions of other people are going to be doing with their old Windows 10 computers by the time Windows 10 end of support comes in just a matter of months now. So we want to install it in English, of course. And yep, the keyboard layouts are correct, English US. And as you can see, it has detected the Wi-Fi adapter right out of the box. So let's hope we'll have better luck with this on Linux than on Windows 7 or 10. As I believe on Windows 11 I had the same problem too. And yes, we will install the multimedia codecs as well. So everything is already set up on this USB. It says, the installer has detected the following disks have mounted partitions. Do you want to try and unmount? Yes, I will let the installer unmount that partition. And it says, install Linux Mint alongside Windows 10. So it has detected that Windows 10 and 11 were installed. So you could actually dual boot this computer with Windows 10, but it will actually install a special grub bootloader where you can tell it to boot either into Linux Mint or Windows 10. However, we have already destroyed Windows 10, so we're going to go ahead and erase the disk and install Linux Mint. But then there are also some advanced features. We will not do any advanced features here. And then we just click Install Now. But then it says, if you continue, the changes below will be written to the disk. Otherwise, you'll be able to make further changes manually. And then it gives the warning that this will destroy everything that's on the drive. And then it shows the partitions that will be destroyed. And we will click Continue. Where are you? We are here in Chicago, of course. This is the Central Time Zone. Interesting, Linux, it has to start with a lowercase letter. So you can log in automatically or require the password to log in. So we'll log in with the same password I used to log into Windows 10, and then we confirm it. There we go. And now we'll click continue. And that's actually it. So that's actually it. So it says, welcome and thank you for choosing Linux Mint. This slideshow will show you around while the system's being installed. So we can go through here. So this talks about the Firefox, and ooh, it actually has the YouTube app already installed. Nice. And then there's Spotify already on here by default as well. There's some movie players. And these are some drawing apps that are also included. Neat, Discord's on here as well. Interesting. And then this is their open source office suite, LibreOffice. And there's some other software as well. Virtualization, you can customize your desktop. And there's also an update manager where, of course, it'll keep all your software up to date. And before doing all of this, I have actually made a backup of the original installation, not Windows 10, but the original hard drive of its original factory partitions and everything else with Acronis. And while it's installing, we can take a little bit around and try out some of the apps that we have. And I believe we've seen a lot of this before. So here's the LibreOffice, which again is a free open source edition of Microsoft Office. Then we can try out a few of the apps. So here's LibreOffice Writer, which is just like Microsoft Word. It says, you are running LibreOffice 24.2 for the first time. Do you want to learn what's new? And you can view the release notes and everything. So essentially you're sort of getting the same luxuries as with Windows. So essentially with Linux Mint, you're still getting the same luxuries as with Windows. However, it's all free and open source. But I mean, for some, kind of like myself, Linux, it's going to take a little bit of time, before, it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to everything, get used to this new environment. And of course, here's its calculator here. And just like the Windows calculator, there are different types of calculating types you can do. So just like in Windows 10 and 11, there are different types of calculators you can do. And this is, I believe, their Paint program. It's actually called Pencil. Is it called Pencil or... Oh, this is actually drawing, but on the title bar, it shows the tool that we're using. So in this case, we're using a highlighter. And then it says text, and it shows the font. And then, of course, we can type something in here. So, again, we're kind of getting the same things. And we'll just hit discard to discard the changes and close the app. And then we can configure the login window, I believe. Is that what this is? Yeah, this is really like advanced capabilities. So don't select a background from your home directory. So I could put a custom wallpaper on here and that'll serve as the login window. So that's kind of neat. Because in Windows 7, it was actually quite difficult to actually configure a custom login background. You have to do it through so you have to do it through the registry editor, just like OEMs do for their copies of Windows. They apply their own custom background and then they deploy it with the factory media. I misspelled just. So yeah, essentially from Linux Mint, you're sort of getting the same luxuries as Windows here. It says, if you don't save, changes from the last 23 seconds will be permanently lost. And you can click close without saving. And then, of course, we get the complete settings menu right here. So we can set a screensaver here. And there is actually a never option, so I can set delay before starting the screensaver, and I can, I can turn all this off and whatnot, so that way nothing bad ends up happening. Since I saw we can actually change the wallpaper, I'm going to actually copy over a custom background now. I'm not sure what kind of file extensions it will take. And it says, installation has finished. You can continue testing Linux Mint now, but until you restart your computer, any changes you make or documents you save will not be preserved. I just wanted to test it out and see what it was going to be like. So we're going to go ahead and reboot. It says, please remove the installation medium and then press enter to restart. And it says, boot device not found. It's probably because Linux might not be capable of running on this computer. Let's actually try their driver manager and we'll see if we can install the drivers. No drivers needed. Really? No drivers needed? All right, now what was it? Qualcomm. I'm gonna try another Qualcomm Wi-Fi driver for HP and see what happens. Windows 10 driver for Qualcomm. I think this is it, but I'm gonna see if this is right. Just continue. (32-bit). I'm not sure if this is gonna work. I don't actually know if this is gonna work, but let's try the Qualcomm driver from Dell and see what happens. The problem is that this is for Windows and not Linux. So I think I know for sure that this system probably does not like Linux. So here is what we're going to do instead. Windows 11. Yes, that's right. We're going to do it again. Microsoft said they would allow Windows 11 on unsupported hardware, but then they later turned back and reversed course. So, well, who cares? People have installed Windows 11 on this thing before, and I've seen people install Windows 11 on unsupported hardware before, and of course you all know that I'm certainly not the only one to do so, because I actually do have Windows 11 on two other machines, actually 4 other machines, 2 Lenovo ThinkPad Edge 545s and a Dell Inspiron 5520, and I actually plan on putting Windows 11 onto a Dell XPS, the Dell XPS that we got, which actually, incredibly enough, does support Windows 11, almost all of the requirements incredibly at that, except the only difference is the processor. So just like any standard Windows installation would, we'll go ahead and we'll start it. And this shouldn't ask for hardware compatibilities or anything like that because I set this up in Rufus. There's the Windows 11 logo. So now we will need to open up, now for the next part, we need PowerShell. We're going to install Ubuntu, so WSL install. And yes, we will allow the subsystem to install. And now go to personalization, and we're going to switch it to that beautiful looking dark theme. Oh, so much nicer. So much nicer now. So now it'll be some time before all the drivers are installed on the device. But I'll call this one WPLD Travel Server. And next. And we will not restart at this moment, but once we do restart, then, I mean, there are a lot of things that are going to be applying on reboot, so we'll click yes to apply that. We're going to tell it that this is basically, should work with drivers for Windows 7, because that's what this guy originally came with. And then we will let it detect drivers. Yes. HP web product detection is starting up. You will be given 2 to 3 prompts. You must choose the open or OK options to continue. If you aren't seeing any pop-ups, click here. Okay, so let me see. Let me see if the pop-ups are being blocked. New results found. And we're just gonna click one driver, and yes, I will actually use the download and install assistant. So let's see if it's actually compatible with Windows 11. As I've seen a lot of Windows 7 apps actually do end up working on Windows 11, which is impressive. So we get the extracting. And was that it? Okay, there it is, preparing to install. This program will install the HP Support Solutions framework. Yep, let's install it. Now, on this USB stick, I have all the necessities that that thing needs, from folders and files to everything in between. So I have a copy of Asmara on this drive. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy it over to the desktop. This is the folder where I was going to grab the network drivers originally when I realized that everything had already worked right out of the box. So now we will let this HP download and install assistant install all the drivers. But we do need a few other programs, such as broadcast using this tool, which is what I use to run my radio stream away from home. And it says the requested operation is successful. Changes will not be effective until the system is restarted. Now, of course, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the Windows update is successfully installed. Previous version or uninstall is not yet complete. Please reboot your computer and run this again. So I can see a whole lot of errors are going on. HP port docking uninstall error. Display link uninstall error. Yep, Microsoft was absolutely not kidding if drivers were going to fail. Oh, that's it. That's all it needed? Okay. So here's what happened with the HP following the last clip. After installing the December security update and restarting to finish the installation of the Linux subsystem on Windows, I had actually found out that the Wi-Fi card had stopped working. I don't know how that ended up happening or why it ended up happening, but unfortunately, and even if I were to try to put Linux on there, unfortunately, it's a no-go. So, I've got the ThinkPad instead, and considering how terrible the battery life on this computer is, I thought we might as well give it an opportunity and see how well it handles my radio service. And yeah, this is how bad the battery life is. 85% remaining, 34 minutes. But basically in this folder, but I just noticed in the recycle bin, I just had a whole bunch of installers for things of all kinds. So anyway, now let's get down to business. So we need the broadcast using this tool utility. And this is the latest version, 144. We'll go ahead and run the setup. So we need to run WSL install. And it asks me to confirm. And then we can run the utility. But I'm actually not done with Edge yet, because there are actually a few programs that I do need to remove from the system. This one app I had on here doesn't seem to work, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that app off the device. And I believe this might be the only app I'll leave on the system otherwise. And I have not seen Google Earth perform well on this computer, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the device. I'm not sure how well OBS is going to perform on here, but I guess we'll find out. I mean, it's pretty unique what Lenovo did with the track point thing there on the keyboard. And use it as like a secondary mouse in case the main touchpad doesn't work or doesn't work as reliably. And even the secondary click buttons too. So I could hover over Microsoft Copilot AI. I mean, this isn't even close to being an AI capable machine, but hey, it can still do AI and stuff. I'd say basic AI at this particular point. It says the operation was successful. Now we must restart the computer in order for everything to take effect. But I'm going to actually also pin Ubuntu to both the taskbar and start menu. All right, now it's asking us to enter a new Unix user account. The username does not need to match. I'll just name it WPLD Radio for the purposes. Error, please enter username matching the regular expression. Well, I actually only have to do this once. In fact, that screen I can actually disregard. So we need to go into the Documents directory, and there should be a Linux directory now. But what I will need to do is copy it onto the root, some already existing files. So that's everything in the root directory. Now those we're actually going to just go and skip, because it should automatically regenerate them afterwards. So I actually just noticed I made a backup of the configuration from my other computer, and I actually burned that configuration onto a USB. So what I've done is I've removed the configuration of Ubuntu that was already installed by the subsystem the first time, and I'm actually now installing it a second time, but this time importing the configuration that I already have. Now this already has the Python scripts and everything already installed, and all I just need to do is replace the Asmara main folder that's inside of this backup, and then make sure it all correctly works. Alright, it says the install was successful. Now it should launch my associated distro, and everything that I had on that distro should still be there. Because if we look in the root folder, we can see that every component has been installed, and everything has been installed correctly. So I'm gonna copy the Asmara main folder over a second time. And this copy actually includes updated files and new songs. So back over here at my desktop, I'm gonna actually carry over the configuration from this utility and carry it over to the ThinkPad. So let me plug in the USB into there. And now we will save the configuration file, but export it actually. So let's export the config and save it onto this drive as WX stream. I'll name it that, and we'll save it. So the config has been written. Now let's go back to the ThinkPad and plug the flash drive back in. So now we go to settings here, and we're going to import the configuration, and there it is. We'll open that config file, and there it is. Everything is here as it is. And just do one last look. That's it. Pretty much then it is all set and ready to go here. So I'm excited to see how well this ThinkPad can perform over my Dell Vostro when it comes to all of this streaming stuff. So in the next episode then, we're going to begin our final mini-series, in fact a massive mini-series, of the development cycles of Windows releases from Windows XP to Vista, Vista to 7, and 7 to 8, along with their server counterparts. So until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.